Alright, this video is going to be all about sketch relations, also known as constraints. So sketch relations are, you've probably seen them quite a bit before. Usually whenever you're sketching out your shapes, you'll see these little green boxes that start to pop up. And these are sketch relations, and they kind of work as rules for your sketch. If I hover over this one up here, you will see it says horizontal. Okay, so that's making sure that line is horizontal. Now I've drawn this little sketch over here, and I'm going to add in a few sketch relations. And I'm going to show you a whole bunch of different relations in this video. I'm going to try and start off with some of the more common ones and then work up to the more advanced ones. The first one I'm going to show you is just how to do horizontal and vertical relations. So this line over here, it's not perfectly horizontal. And if I click on it, what you'll notice over here on the left side of the screen, we've got a few relations that we could change. We can make it horizontal, we can make it vertical, or we could fix it in place. And all I have to do is just simply click horizontal, and now this line is horizontal. I could go over to this edge over here. I can make this vertical. I could do the same over here and make that line vertical. Now, sometimes you may get something that looks like this whenever you add in relations, but you could always just kind of drag things around to put them back to where you need to be. So that's horizontal and vertical sketch relations. Another sketch relation you can do is an equal sketch relation. So for example, let's say you got a case where you've got a bunch of shapes and you need them all to be the same size. What you could do to select multiple shapes, you can hold down Control and go ahead and click all your shapes. Or if you have a scenario like this, you could even just select them like that. And we can see over here on the left side of the screen, we have a few different ones to choose from. We have co-radial, concentric, equal. We'll talk about concentric later on. But we're just going to take a look at the equal constraint. So you see if I can click equal, now all those shapes are the same size. And if I make one larger, smaller, all the other ones will follow along with it. So that is the equal relation. Continuing with the circles, this next one is going to be a concentric relation. So what a concentric relation does is if you have a whole bunch of circles or really any type of circular feature and you want to align the center points with each other, that's what a concentric mate does. So in this case, if I were to select all of these circles, which you can see are different sizes, but notice how their center points are in different locations. And if I go over here to the left side of the screen where it says concentric, what it will do is it will take all three of those center points and align them at the same point. So I'm going to click concentric, and now we can see all those circles, even though they're different sizes, their center points are all now aligned with each other. Here's going to be an example of a perpendicular sketch relation. So the idea with perpendicular relations is that usually you have two lines and you want them to be perpendicular to each other, so you want them to be a 90-degree angle. And as we can see here, if we take a look at these two lines, they are clearly not 90 degrees, but we could go ahead and change that. Just like previously, I can hold down the Control button on the keyboard, and I'm going to select these two lines. And then over here on the left side of the screen, we have an option that says perpendicular. If I click on that, now you can see they are 90 degrees. I could do the same thing over here. And now we can see those lines are now perpendicular with each other. And the next relation is going to be a parallel sketch relation. So the idea of a parallel relation is that you've got two lines that are far apart and they are kind of at different angles, and you want them to be parallel with each other. So here's a good example. Let's say these two lines we want to be parallel with each other. Just like before, I could go ahead, I can hold down Control, select these two lines. We can see one of them is kind of crooked a little bit, but if I go over here and I click the parallel icon. Now we can see those two lines are perfectly parallel. Even if I change the shape around, you'll see they will remain parallel. So that is a parallel relation. And this next relation is a little bit different. This one is called a colinear. And what this one does is it takes a whole bunch of lines that are at different heights, and it can put them all in kind of like almost like in a row with each other. So if you take a look at this example, the lines that we're going to be talking about are these three lines up here kind of towards the top of these shapes, and we see they're like at different heights. And what we want with this relation for this example is I want all the lines to be kind of on the same line with each other. So I want them all to be at the same height. So if I go ahead, if I hold down Control and I select all three of these edges, we get the option over here on the left. Where's it at? Colinear. And what you're going to see is now all three of those lines are all going to be at the same height. And kind of just like with the parallel one, you know, if we move this, if we move one, all the other ones are going to move along with it. And for the last mate, we're going to talk a little bit about tangent mates. So the idea with the tangent mate is it creates kind of a smooth intersection between a straight line and a curved line. So if we take a look at this example here, I've got this arc, but notice how it creates almost like a corner over here in relation to this horizontal edge. What a tangent mate does is it creates that smooth transition going from the horizontal edge into that arc. So what I can do is I can hold down Control, select my arc, select that horizontal line, and if I go to click tangent, what you'll see is it will create kind of that smooth transition so that these are now tangent with each other. And I could do the same thing down here on the bottom line, and we'll see what that looks like. So you see what we've done now is we've created both of these edges are now tangent with each other. So it creates that nice smooth arc. And the final example is going to be what is called a reverse tangent. Okay, so kind of similar to what we just did, but what we see is we've got an arc and we've got a line over here, but we see this arc doesn't it doesn't really flow into that line properly. It's not fully tangent. So if we go ahead and once again we select these two lines, we could go over here and click tangent, and then we see it now forms a nice smooth tangent edge. So those are sketch relations. There's a few more out there, but these are kind of like the most basic ones that you'll encounter whenever you're doing your sketches. So hopefully that was helpful.